Did y'all hear what Chris just did on the organ? Did you catch that? Here Comes the Bride, wedding banquet. Get it? Come on, people. Wake up today. Come on. I need a little more from you. The king just wanted somebody to go to his party. So we've been walking with Moses and the Israelites through the Sinai desert. And we're going to hang out with them just a little bit more today. And I've been thinking a lot about Moses and about his leadership. And I wonder if Moses ever used any sports analogies. I've never been one to use a lot of sports analogies. Just haven't. But I have to admit, as I have moved more deeply into ministry and church work, the more sense these analogies make for me. For example, moving the ball down the field. My grandmother loved watching football, and she would sit on her couch for hours with the TV guide folded open to Sunday right in front of her. And I remember asking her once, "Why do you like football so much? It seems like a lot of effort just to move the ball 3 feet." And she responded, "I just love to see it happen. Moving the ball down the field, getting a project one step closer to completion, bringing something from an idea to fruition, getting just a little bit closer to the goal." And of course, there are phrases like knocking it out of the park. It signals what we do well, successes, home runs. On the other side of that is dropping the ball. Places where we have had slip-ups, forgotten and lost track of our purpose, did not follow through. And lately, I've gotten quite a lot of mileage from the analogy of the long game or the short game. The short game is being attentive to the here and the now, the smaller successes, the quick fixes, the things we can attend to now. And then there's the long game. The long game deals with future outcomes and hopes. The long game doesn't always produce immediate results, but puts plans into place that ensure a more distant outcome. Today we hear an exchange that has a lot to do with the long game, short game nature of being in a spiritual community. Moses, God, the Israelites, they are deepening, extending their relationship. And what do you know? A sacred cow enters the picture. Now, you all should know that clergy are trained very early on in their lives to identify sacred cows in congregations. It's one of the first things we ask. What are the sacred cows? Sacred cows are those things that are hallowed by congregations. Don't touch, hands off. Landmines, programs, ministries, people, projects, buildings, even monuments that people have come to worship, sometimes at the expense of growth and the health of a congregation. Well, today we hear about a sacred cow. You see, Moses has been up on the mountain talking to God. Last week he received those 10 commandments, and Moses lingered just a little bit longer than the people expected. And the people, the Israelites, are getting scared. Where's Moses? Where's Moses? Where's our leader? Some may have seen it as an opportunity to seize power. So what do they do in the presence of fear and panic and a lack of leadership? Their short-term thinking begins to kick in. Let's create another god, they say. So they take what's available to them. their earrings, their jewelry, and Aaron melts them down and they make another god. Here is your God, O Israel, they claim. And they worship it and they sacrifice to it. You see, this group of people has had a hard time finding God in their midst. There's nothing tangible to hold on to see, to touch. And you know, people want something they can sink their teeth into. And so they attend to the short game of having their needs met immediately. And then something interesting happens. God, capital G God, knows what the people are doing. He knows what they're up to, and God gets angry. God gets so angry that God even wants to destroy the whole lot of them. But this is the interesting part. Moses has been wandering around with these people for weeks and months, and he's been dealing with a lot from them. They have complained, they have grumbled, they have whined. Why did you take us out of Egypt? We liked it there better. They've not had enough food, they've not had enough water. But Moses has listened to them, and God has provided for them. So if Moses wanted out of this relationship, he could have just said, "Fine, God, I agree. Wipe them out. And I'm going back to that Red Sea and sit on the beach." But that's not what Moses does, is it? It's not what Moses does. Moses, in his own development, in the deepening of his own relationship with God and these people, Moses says to God, "Now, wait a minute, God. I know these people are annoying and stubborn and stiff-necked, as you like to call them, but we've come this far, and we've got to move this ball further down the field." So, while the people of Israel are getting their immediate needs met with quick fixes, God and Moses are called to keep their eye on a more distant goal, reminding themselves of God's promise to lead them to freedom, the long game. So you see where we're going with this, don't you, church? Here there are a lot of short game and long game needs to balance. The church, just like that wandering group of Israelites, is filled with all kinds of people. Some of us are short game types. Some of us are long game types. Some want what they want when they want it right now. And some have a longer approach in mind and are more interested in long-term sustained change. David Brooks, in one of his most recent books, suggests that wisdom is the ability to forego the short term in favor of the long term. And our culture doesn't like this, does it? Our culture tells us we can have everything right now. Sure, let's melt down our gold earrings and make a cow out of them because we can just order more earrings on Amazon. Better yet, let's just order a sacred cow from QVC. Etsy. Isn't that what we do? Isn't that what we do? That's the whole purpose of a sacred cow. It is a misplacement. It is a misdirection of our worship. And even though it is easier to worship that which gives instantaneous results, our spiritual life is a long, steady movement toward being close with God and with neighbor. As you know, we are in the midst of our annual giving campaign. And the ways in which we give speak a lot to what we're talking about today. Some give so that they can get what they want, maybe even get that sacred cow back in place. But giving to the church, the offering of our gifts, our participation in this spiritual community is all about contributing to the long game that was started by Moses when God said, I've heard the cries of my people, how they're hurting. They're in misery. And I need you to help me lead them into a space of health and freedom. And that's the long game, St. Paul's. Today we will have our town hall meeting, and it's designed to give you a glimpse into where we are with our giving goals, into our budget, and into our plans for 2024. And as with all work and ministry in the church, it is a combination of short-term and long-term thinking. You will hear about how we are called to attend to the immediate needs of life around us right now. And you will catch glimpses of how we are called to contribute to the longer game of ongoing, sustained change. Both will be present, and you will be called to some parts more than others, and that's okay. The important thing to remember today is that when it comes to God's relationship with us, God is in it for the long game. When we gripe and grumble, God is there. When we say, go team, and boo, God is there. When we kick someone in the shin or skin our knee, God is there. When we knock it out of the park or fall or fumble, God is there. And even when we create temporary sacred cows, God's love for us is steadfast and true. So, Team St. Paul's, as we gather for another holy huddle around this altar, I want you to hear God's promise. I love you, and I'm here with you now and always. And in the meantime, we follow Jesus of Nazareth, who may or may not have known his way around a baseball diamond, but he is certainly, most assuredly, leading us all safely home. As it was, as it is, and as it forever shall be, world without end. Amen.